Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. If you're passionate about startups, entrepreneurship, and creating impactful products, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of the lean startup methodology, a movement that has transformed the way countless businesses are launched and scaled across the world. Stick around until the end, and I have something special for those who want to explore this methodology in even greater depth. My new book, Navigating the Lean Startup Landscape. Before we dive into the origins, let's set the scene. The traditional startup process was often a high-stakes game. For years, entrepreneurs would meticulously craft a product in isolation, taking months, sometimes years, before releasing it to the market. You'd put in an incredible amount of work, capital, and time only to discover that, well, the customers didn't want what you built. In fact, the statistics tell a harrowing tale. Over 90% of startups used to fail, and often it was because they built products that nobody needed. That's where the lean startup changed everything. Enter Eric Ries. Back in the late 2000s, Eric Ries was an entrepreneur like many others, but he faced repeated failures. His experiences with startups that didn't quite take off led him to ask a critical question. What if the problem isn't with startups themselves, but with the way we build them? Drawing inspiration from the Japanese concept of lean manufacturing, popularized by Toyota, Ries created the foundation for what would become known as the lean startup. The core idea was simple yet radical. You don't have to get everything perfect before releasing your product. In fact, you shouldn't. Instead, focus on building a minimum viable product, or MVP, to test your assumptions. The MVP is the smallest version of your product that allows you to gather real feedback from real users. It's about learning before you scale, validating that people even want what you're building. Instead of spending millions developing features that customers might want, the lean startup encourages rapid cycles of build, measure, learn. The build, measure, learn feedback loop became the central heartbeat of the lean startup. First, you build an MVP. Then you measure how customers react. Finally, you learn from that feedback and decide what to do next, whether it's to pivot, persevere, or make tweaks. This approach wasn't just a breath of fresh air. It was an antidote to the traditional waterfall method of product development, which often involved years of planning before a market launch. It allowed startups to take small, calculated risks and iterate based on real-time data, reducing the likelihood of catastrophic failures. But wait, where did this lean thinking come from? For that, we need to go back a little further. Back to the manufacturing floors of Toyota in the 1950s. The Japanese automaker wanted to eliminate waste, improve efficiency, and continually optimize production. They developed the concept of lean manufacturing, emphasizing continuous improvement, eliminating unnecessary steps, and focusing intensely on customer value. Toyota's approach transformed the automotive industry. Their philosophy, known as Kaizen or continuous improvement, centered around reducing any activities that didn't add value to the customer. The idea was to build cars faster, cheaper, and with better quality, all while continuously learning and improving processes. This lean approach not only revolutionized car manufacturing but also spread to other industries, from electronics to healthcare. By emphasizing efficiency, teamwork, and a relentless focus on customer needs, Toyota showed that organizations could achieve both high productivity and high quality. Eric Ries saw the parallels between the startup journey and manufacturing. Just like Toyota wanted to eliminate waste on the factory floor, entrepreneurs needed to eliminate waste in product development, whether it was wasted effort, wasted features, or wasted capital. The goal of a startup is ultimately to find a repeatable and scalable business model, and every iteration takes you closer to that goal. One of the most well-known examples of applying lean startup principles is Dropbox. Back in 2007, Dropbox's founder, Drew Houston, didn't want to invest millions into building a full-fledged product just to realize no one needed it. Instead, he created a simple explainer video that showed what Dropbox could do. It went viral, attracting hundreds of thousands of signups, all before the actual product even existed. This approach of testing customer interest before building saved Dropbox time, effort, and resources. It validated that there was a market demand for simple cloud storage. This is the lean startup methodology in action, taking big risks and boiling them down into bite-sized, testable experiments. Let's talk about Airbnb, another startup that utilized lean principles. In its early days, Airbnb was simply an idea, a platform where people could rent out air mattresses in their living rooms to make some extra cash. The founders, instead of building a complex app, set up a basic website and tested the concept with a few listings. They gathered feedback from early users, iterated their concept, and improved the platform based on what they learned. This ability to test, learn, and pivot is what turned Airbnb into a multi-billion-dollar company today. Their success didn't come from a perfect launch, it came from a willingness to adapt to customer needs and feedback. Since the introduction of Lean Startup, the methodology has reshaped the startup landscape. Companies can now adapt quickly, respond to market signals, and avoid common pitfalls that used to doom earlier generations. Lean methods encourage us to get out of the building, interact with customers, and learn what matters most. It's not about having the perfect launch, it's about getting customer feedback as quickly as possible. Another key part of lean startup history that we need to touch on is the concept of the pivot. Pivots happen when a startup learns from customer feedback that the current path won't lead to a successful business. Rather than giving up, the company shifts direction, perhaps altering the product, changing the target market, or modifying the business model, but it continues learning and iterating. Some of the biggest names in tech are successful today because they pivoted. Take Twitter, for instance. It started out as a podcasting platform called Odeo. When Apple launched iTunes and cornered the podcast market, Odeo pivoted, and Twitter as we know it was born. Another notable example is Slack. Originally, Slack began as an internal communication tool for a gaming company called Tiny Speck, which was developing an online game called Glitch. The game didn't take off, but the founders noticed that the communication tool they used internally had immense potential. They pivoted from gaming to enterprise communication, and today Slack is one of the most widely used team collaboration tools globally. The lean startup methodology isn't just a set of rules, it's a mindset. It's about embracing uncertainty, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and letting go of perfection in favor of learning. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, an established founder, or even part of a big organization looking to innovate, the principles of lean startup can help you navigate the treacherous waters of entrepreneurship. To recap, Lean Startup emphasizes building a minimum viable product, iterating quickly, and learning from customer feedback. It encourages pivots when needed and always aims for efficiency and customer validation. These principles are what have helped startups like Dropbox, Twitter, Airbnb, and Slack turn into the giants they are today. Let's take a deeper dive into the build, measure, learn loop. Imagine you have an idea for an app that helps people find local fitness classes. Instead of spending a year developing a polished app with dozens of features, you start with an MVP, a simple landing page where users can express interest in local classes. This is the build phase. You then launch the landing page and promote it to gather signups. This is the measure phase. You're capturing data on how many people are interested, what kind of classes they're looking for, and what feedback they have. Finally, you learn from this data. Are people signing up? If yes, what classes are most popular? If no, what barriers are stopping them? You iterate. Maybe you add a new feature or change your marketing message and repeat the cycle. This loop is about learning faster than anyone else in the market. If you're interested in going deeper and applying these concepts to your own ventures, my book, Navigating the Lean Startup Landscape, is now available. In it, we cover not just the foundational principles we've talked about today, but also advanced strategies, practical tools, and real-world case studies that will help you apply lean thinking effectively. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your company, this book will be an invaluable resource for understanding the nuts and bolts of the lean startup. So, what do you think about Lean Startup? Have you used this methodology in your own projects? Comment below and share your story. I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more insights on entrepreneurship, and check out the link below to grab your copy of Navigating the Lean Startup Landscape. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.